We have 4 bills before us today, and the first is introductory number 5, Commissioner, 591A, sponsored by council members Chin, Vaca, Brewer, Cabrera, Drum, Fiddler, Gentili, James Capel, Koslowitz, Landa, Mendez, Rose, Van Bremer, Williams, Nelson, Koo, Eugene, Gennaro, Arroyo, Greenfield, Barron, Jackson, Mealy, Wills, and Ulrich. As motor coach carriers become an increasingly common mode of travel, it's important that passengers have the ability to access safety information about them, and this legislation will require the Department of Transportation to place a link on their website to the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration's, who knew they had one, website, along with a description of the safety information available on that site. The ability to easily locate this important information will assure that passengers can make informed decisions before choosing a carrier for travel. And I would like to thank our Commissioner, Jeanette Sedek-Khan, and her staff for working this bill, along with the Office of City Legislative Affairs, and also the City Council for approving this legislation. And the first person who can speak is the person whose name was first on the bill. Margaret?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. In New York City, the intercity bus service is one of the fastest growing and most commonly used means of transportation. Every year, millions of passengers board this bus at their primary means of long-distance travel. With the rising price of gas, airline flight, and other transportation costs, intercity buses are a cost-effective and convenient way to get where we need to go. The demand for intercity bus is projected to surge even further in the coming years, and with more and more bus companies cropping up to meet the needs. But with the surge in demand for intercity bus travel comes an essential need to regulate these services. Unfortunately, intercity buses have been involved in a number of deadly accidents in recent years. In 2011, a bus traveling back to Chinatown from a casino was involved in a terrible fatal crash that killed a large number of my constituents. Just yesterday, the Federal Motor Coach Safety Administration shut down another bus company because of safety violation. But we want to make sure that our customers know how to choose the safest mode of transportation, and they can get it online. I mean, Mayor, you said you didn't even know that they had a website. Well, a lot of people don't. And if you do know and you get on there, it's very hard to find the information. So this bill will ask the Department of Transportation to have on their site to create this link so that people also can get the information that they need so that they can choose wisely which bus service they should take. And I think this is important for this industry because it is growing, especially in immigrant neighborhoods. So I wanted to thank Councilmember Vaca for sponsoring this bill with me and Speaker Quinn for her support, but also Frank Lau, who's here, for helping us develop this legislation. And of course, we want to thank DOT for their support too. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else like to speak? Anybody in the audience like to speak? If not, I will sign the bill. Today is Wednesday.
D-Day, 6th of June.
D-Day.
You get it first.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very well. All right. The second bill before us is introductory number 1035A, sponsored by council members Williams, Fiddler, Comrie, Gennaro, Gentili, Greenfield, King, Koo, Lander, Palmer, Rose, Arroyo, Barron, Jackson, Mark Viverito, Weprin, and Wills. As gaming cafes become increasingly popular, we've observed an emerging phenomenon of these establishments engaged in promoting unlawful gambling, often offering cash prizes. This legislation requires the Department of Consumer Affairs to revoke the license of a gaming cafe or amusement arcade if the operator is found to have violated law regarding unlawful gambling. Having stricter consequences in place will help keep New York City ahead of the curve in enforcement and send a strong message that unlawful gambling will not be tolerated. And I'd like to thank Department of Consumer Affairs Commissioner Jonathan Mintz, Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, and their staff for their work on this bill, along with our Office of City Legislative Affairs and the City Council for approving this legislation. Would anyone like to speak? All right.
First, I want to thank the mayor for in a few minutes signing this bill into law. I want to thank my co-sponsor, Councilmember Lou Fiddler, for working with me on this legislation. Of course, Kay Bain, my legislative director, Brad, Lou Fiddler's director, speaker, staff, and I would like to thank the chair, Dan Garodnick, for working with us, and also the Department of Consumer Affairs for also supporting this bill. This is a very important bill, and I always try to make it clear that this is not an anti-gambling bill. It's not an anti-small business bill. This is a bill that's against the predatory nature of what was going on. We saw it happening a lot in the southern part of the country. It's become a kind of scourge that's going on there, and we wanted to prevent that from happening. A few of them had opened around my district, and they basically were just violating the law. It says that you can't give cash prizes, and that's exactly what they were doing. They were going about it in a funny, funky way, but at the end of the day, you came in and you bought some internet time or a card or something, and then you can play some games, and then you got cash prizes, and that's gambling. And they were setting up shop in places that I think can least afford to have this kind of predatory nature in the city. We read some of their packages that they gave to people who want to open this, and one of the things they said was you should try to open up places like pawn shops, even though they're seedy. They're seedy. They may be a good place to get good business, and this is the type of things that we're doing. I'm very excited that we can really do something to provide another tool to DCA to make sure that we understand this is not going to be acceptable, and it will be revoked if that's what you're doing. So I'm very excited about this, and I want to thank the mayor again.
Councilman?
Just briefly, thank you, Mayor Bloomberg, and I want to thank everyone involved in this bill. My counsel, Brad Reed, who's sitting here. Wave to everybody, Brad. Okay. You know, when you have a new problem and you can nip it in the bud, that's really government working. And, you know, these things were starting to proliferate in our neighborhoods. One of them opened about 2 blocks from my home. They are virtual casinos. And as we all know, they're illegal. And no legal fiction would make them legal. And by giving DCA an effective tool to close them down as they open up, maybe they'll stop opening up. I think we're doing a good thing. And again, I just want to thank Mayor for signing the bill and for everyone who's been involved. Thank you.
Anybody else like to add anything?
I forgot to thank Stephen Ringo also for my media relations.
Thank you very much. I'll sign the bill. The third bill before us is introductory number 981A, sponsored by Council Members Rose, Brewer, Eugene, James, Mendez, Van, Williams, Drum, Rodriguez, Gonzalez, Palma, Van Bremer, Foster, Lander, Nelson, Gennaro, Chin, Arroyo, Barron, Jackson, Mark Favorito, Mealy, and Wills. The Administration for Children's Services currently reports demographic data and incident reports on youth in New York City's juvenile non-secure and secure detention facilities. As young people come into ACS's custody through the Close to Home initiative, a collaborative effort between the city and the state that places New York City youth who are adjudicated as juvenile delinquents closer to their family and community, it is important that we collect and monitor similar data on this new population that will be in the city's care. This legislation requires ACS to report admissions data regarding limited secure placement facilities, average daily population in non-secure and limited secure placement facilities, the number of youth admitted who spend time time either a non-secure placement only, limited secure placement only, or both non-secure and limited secure placement, as well as data on transfers. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Ron Richter and his staff for their work on this bill, along with our city's Office of Legislative Affairs and the City Council for passing this bill. Anybody like to say anything? Would anybody add anything? This is a good bill to see what really is happening. This program we have with the state is to try to, instead of incarcerating kids way upstate where they can't interact with their families, do it much closer to home, and that's our best chance of trying to get them on the straight and narrow so that when they get out of jail, they can rejoin society and participate in the great American dream. And the last bill before us today is introductory number 480A, sponsored by council members Gentili, Eugene, Barron, Drum, Fidler, Gonzalez, Jackson, James, Capel, Mark Vivrio, Mendez, Recchia, Rose, Van Brema, Van, Williams, Foster, Lander, Nelson, Gennaro, Chin, Dillon, Arroyo, Cabrera, Greenfield, Mealy, Halloran, and Ulrich. This legislation codifies into law an executive order I signed in 2008 requiring city agencies to designate an employee to serve as a liaison to veterans or employment at their agencies. These liaisons will advise veterans on benefits and services that they may be eligible for, as well as personnel policies that apply to them. And I would like to thank our Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs, Commissioner Terrence Halliday is with us, and his staff for their work on this bill, as well as our City Office of Legislative Affairs and the City Council for approving this legislation. Commissioner, you want to start out?
Hi. This is a very good bill. It's a very good program. It was a very good idea to codify it. And as we move forward, we find that in MOVA, when people reach us or we reach them or connect them with the people in these specific agencies, we make things happen a little bit faster. Sometimes it's a lot easier to go to the folks who know how to make these things happen very quickly, efficiently, and everybody goes away happy, and we've certainly serviced the constituent. This is a great piece of legislation, and I'm very happy that we were able to work with the Speaker's office to make it done, and thank you very much for what you did, sir.
Anybody like to add anything?
Mr. Chairman? Okay.
Thanks, first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and certainly I want to thank the Commissioner. I want to thank the committee staff and Chairman Eugene for their work, my staff member, Justin Brannon, my legislative aide for producing this piece of legislation. It's not often that you could do something for veterans and increase the size, in effect, of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs at no cost to the city. And that's basically what this legislation does. By creating these liaisons in each agency, we effectively have a network now that will be trained by the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs to help those veterans who work in those agencies to find those benefits and to direct them in the ways that they need that help, whatever help that might be. So it is, as the Commissioner said, a very good bill and something that really will multiply the networking that the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs can do. So I thank the Mayor for signing it today, and I look forward to really having a great training session with the veterans.
Great. Yes, sir.
Thank you much. Thank you. I just want to thank Councilmember Gentili, the Mayor Office of Veteran Affairs, MOVA, and the Commissioner. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, also. As you know, this bill is a great bill, a wonderful bill. And the veterans, they have made incredible sacrifices for all of us. It is very important, and it is our responsibility to do everything that we can do for them to get the services that they deserve. It is very important. You know what happened in the city of New York? There are so many services available, so many benefits available. The people, some of the time, they have difficulty to navigate through the system and to benefit from them. And I think the liaison will do exactly that, to help them get benefits that they deserve, and also to take advantage of the services available to them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Would anybody like to add anything? If not, I'll sign the bill. Ladies first.